Welcome to the Off the Road Again podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Ross.
I'm Spencer.
This is our podcast about anything and everything off-road. Tonight, we are doing our annual, we look at off-roaders in every budget. And I say every budget because our starting point is $2,500 is where we're going to start tonight. And then we're going to go to the very top where it's always unlimited. And my favorite part is those are the ones we should probably talk more about. Nobody can afford them, but we always get so fast when we get to them.
And $2,500 to set the precedent goes a very different way than it did the first time we talked about $2,500.
Exactly.
You know,
but I have found running and driving examples of this shit. So at least according to the I spent a lot of time on Facebook Marketplace the other evening. I do work from home and lunch breaks are
not during business hours.
Not during lunch breaks, not at all. I will say my browsing went fairly wide ranging. I started local, and then my usual hits are like Dallas, Denver, Phoenix, Salt Lake. I meant to hit Vegas and never got around to it today. So that was
okay. I
should definitely go back to it.
Before we get there, do you have any personal vehicular updates?
I added coolant to the Suburban, which I'm not super thrilled with.
How much?
Not a whole gallon, but it was like, if this is full when cold, it was down about an inch from that mark.
Oh, that's not the end of the world.
Right. And that was, I did mean to actually check this. So when I went in for my last oil change at the dealer, they were like, hey, we smell coolant.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. And they're like, we don't know where it's coming from. And I was like,
we smell coolant. You should get your nose out of the coolant bottle.
Yeah. I was like, stop opening. But clearly, I had it. Let's see. Coolant flush and refill happened back in May. So the fact that it's been refilled in May and is already down a little bit, and we're in August, so clearly it's going somewhere. Obviously, my panic moment is head gasket, but exhaust smells normal, and there's no white smoke.
What are you at a mileage now?
185.
Damn. Okay. Head gasket isn't where I'd start my worries for the.
My favorite part is I still have the
5.3. Nice.
This is highlighted down here in pink. Is leak starting to form. Radiator is 1,100 plus tax. Heater hoses is 547 plus tax, and oil cooler lines are 468 plus tax. And then at the bottom, not highlighted, it was like rear pads and rotors for 610 plus tax. They're just throwing it in there,
yeah, of course. Yeah, that's the tech trying to just write the car up for anything he can get. You added that coolant today?
Yeah.
Do the dry erase marker trick. Take dry erase marker, draw a line where it is, check it again after your next gas.
Today it's at the full mark, so I know where I'm at the full mark. So
sometimes you can't see the full mark, like on the off-road stuff, like the quads. It's almost impossible to see the actual hash marks on these things.
Right. So I have a very clear mark of where I'm at right now, and I will actually, while I have my maintenance spreadsheet open, apply my. I'll have to get into the mileage tomorrow, but coolant top off.
Coolant top off. On my side, I am still going through the rock slider install.
You haven't done the other side yet?
No. So I want to make a public apology to White Knuckle Off-Road and John at White Knuckle because 5% their fault, 95% my fault. I didn't entirely decipher the instructions the way that they should have been deciphered. And there was, when they sent me everything, there was a nut and a screw and a washer, and I didn't know what they were for. So I just thought they were like extras. You know, there was no instruction that said to use these for something. And basically what you have to do is use this to gap the hard lines for KDSS and brakes away from the frame, so you can fit this huge U bracket around the frame to bolt the slider on. And this is where I'll put the 5% blame on White Knuckle. It's not clear in the instructions that that's what the included set of hardware is for. Yeah.
It was like Legos, and you got to the end of the bag, and you're like, what am I doing with these 6 things that don't do anything? I quit.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. And so, I sent an email to White Knuckle and basically was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing wrong. And they said, oh, you're supposed to have this. And I said, oh, well, I don't know what you're talking about. And they panicked and sent the replacement, quote unquote, replacement stuff out to me ASAP, which I am very appreciative of. And I got it, and I opened the box and looked at it and went, fuck me. I have this sitting in my,
the
on
exact
my
same
workbench
stuff
with the rest of the stuff that needs to go on. So, yeah. So slowly making my way back through the process.
So you're gonna make you're gonna make a YouTube video explaining all of this, right? You're gonna corner the market on GX slider installs.
I probably should.
We'll take the first side off and then do both at the same time.
Right. Yeah. And
You'll
then
be experts.
It'll go. Twice as fast, and definitely.
Well, that's the hack on YouTube. Is everything has already been removed and installed, and then removed again to then be put in for the video, like
and anti-seized and thread cleaned and everything. Yeah, it's the kind of thing that if you do it once, the next time you do it, it takes quarter of the time.
Right?
Just understanding of things. Also, the Northeast fuck salt.
Yep.
Like stupid little bolts that should come out easily are like warfare. So yeah, that's the end of my updates. Other than Spen conveniently is here tonight. We just booked a trip up to New Hampshire to ride the quads and to go do some good wheeling. So I don't know if Spen, you want to talk about what you've been doing over the last few weeks with a particular Polaris Razor?
About a month ago, we were out, and I would say not too conveniently, there happened to be a log that was wedged itself in the boot, and we didn't find out until we actually got it up on the lift, which happens to be a forklift.
And this was this was the second trail of the day you guys were on?
This was about half an hour into the ride. I actually almost rolled in a mud pit that was so off camber that I backed out, and when I got out of the quad and turned around, happened to see this tree sticking out of the right side of my dad's quad, and
so
we limped it back to the parking lot. Finally got it home, got it up on the forklift.
Called me while I was driving home from Virginia.
Said, how bad of an idea is it to ride if just the boot's torn? Good call we didn't, because the axle actually snapped in half inside the boot. And
awesome.
Like sheared itself.
Yep. So while we had it up, we actually replaced the axle and the hub with it.
Which is the third or fourth axle that we have collectively done on this Razor in the last year and a half, 2 years.
And we're going to have more, because while we had it up on the lift, we checked the fronts, and the bearings were destroyed. When I went to take the axle off, the bearing inside the hub actually exploded, and balls everywhere.
Balls everywhere.
Awesome.
Chris,
all over me, all over the floor.
Chris, I will have Spen send you this video, and we'll share it on socials or next time we record. But my dad takes the tire, and the Razor's on a forklift, so it's like at head height, and the tire moves. Spen, what do you say, like 2 to 3 inches in each direction?
God. At least.
With steering locked in park. So
I knew we had a problem with the back, actually, when we got it up on the lift, and I went to the left rear, went to wiggle it around, no movement. It was in park, so it was just locked. Mm-hmm. Went to the right side, and I just touched it, and the wheel just.
Oh God, that's not good, Bob.
Nope, not good, Bob.
Brought the strength of a giant. Wasn't necessary. It was purely broken.
Yeah,
Yep.
shit sheared off.
Is this the same rig that is like literally constantly getting fixed?
This is the one we yeah. Long and short of it is yes.
It's
Is it
rare that
time
we
to
go
move
out.
on from it.
No, because knock on wood, and we're speaking on our dad's behalf. Like it's
Okay.
everything is ball in his court on this, you know. But to replace that machine would cost close to double what.
No.
Yeah, close to double.
Yeah.
And it's a good machine. It's perfect for what what he uses it for, what kind of riding he does. Like you go bigger and you're into the 65-inch wide class, which for our stuff is just not feasible.
The majority of the riding that we're doing isn't up in the New Hampshire, Maine area, unfortunately. And those are, the tighter trails that we kind of need the 60-inch in, and to get out of it and to get into something else. The other thing we might do, maybe I'll just give him the Can-Am Maverick and I'll just get into an X3.
Oh God! You saw? Oh God! Well, this is our last piece of side-by-side talk, and then we're going to go into our topic of the night. You guys saw the new Can-Am, right? And
I didn't.
you didn't see it?
No.
What's it called? Maverick R? I should know.
Yeah, I think so.
That's what came up immediately when I searched. Can-Am Maverick R 2024. Holy Christ!
It's what, 240 horsepower.
They look more and more like video games every year.
It's a trophy truck, is what it is.
That's what it looks like.
It's 76 inches wide, something like that.
If that ended with $76,000, I wouldn't have been surprised either.
I was fucking around. I optioned one to like 68 grand. I'm not even kidding. It has the craziest looking upper control arms that you've ever seen on a production vehicle. They kind of look like it looks cartoonish. But allegedly it makes for perfect.
It's these things way up here, right?
Yep. Which Can-Am claims has something to do, like their engineers know something we don't.
It looks like the freaking Audi Dakar rig almost, like these side vents, like
right.
Like if you told me the spare was like grafted into the body on the side, I'd be like, yeah, he's taking it to Dakar this year. They're gonna have a great time.
Yeah, well, it's got a 7-speed DCT. I think it has 32s or 33s stock, and it can fit 35s. Full infotainment setup. It's crazy. It's pushing to a place that I don't know. It's the same kind of thing with like a McLaren, 675 LT. Like, there's 1% of the user market that can actually drive it to its ability, and there's 1% of that can and will.
This looks like you could buy this off the showroom and go compete in hammers.
You could probably do okay in hammers. That said, I don't know if the cage is hammers approved.
Right, but like that's my only like caveat is like, is the safety up to spec? Other than that, travel wise, power wise, weight wise,
don't know.
It looks amazing.
But we'll talk about this a little more if we want in the $75,000 price range. So
I can promise you, I did not look for any of those today.
Okay, well,
because I stayed secondhand. So
true. This is new. We did
new last week. So
all right. So let's do it.
So real quick explanation for everybody. We have done this for years. This is, I think, our third year of doing it now.
Yep.
Every time we get to a category, Ross would normally explain what he thought should be available in that category. And then I went and found online listings for things that were for sale, right? Like, and most of this stuff should not have ADM. Like, you shouldn't have to, like, this is the price you're going to pay, if not a little lower, because you're buying secondhand, so you can haggle a little bit, right?
These are your Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist.
Dude, it's all Facebook Marketplace. There's one that wasn't from Facebook Marketplace.
Okay, all right. Well, I mean, for some vehicles, the forums are still somewhat relevant too.
Right.
So can't ignore that.
Craigslist is awful, though.
Craigslist
it's like a barren wasteland of nothing now.
Oh God, it is. Yeah, it's the fucking abyss. But like,
I didn't even go to Auto Tempest.
No, but well, we would go to Auto Tempest if they wanted to sponsor us. But I Hate Mud is one of our favorite sites, and I'm a participating member on there. And the Land Cruiser for sale page on there is active.
It's pretty good.
It's active.
Yeah. So my favorite part of buying the LX was I found the post where he had listed on there, so I was able to then go through everything. Like, I found it on Facebook, but then I was able to get on Mud and find it for sure.
That's so fun. I didn't know that. All right, so yeah, let's kick it off.
First category is $2,500. What are you thinking?
Anything you can find with all or four-wheel drive that runs.
Right? I think you're going to be amazed by what I found.
Okay, well, I think, and I mean, Spen and I talk about this almost daily, but the world we live in now is that the prices are completely different from what they used to be in every category, and especially in the like 1,000 to 10,000 range,
Right.
The toy range.
Yeah, what used to be the toy range where you could pick something up for $1,500 and fuck with it and not care is now a $7,000 truck.
Right. All right.
So
are you ready?
$2,500.
3,
yeah,
2,
let's see.
1. Oh, come on!
Riverside
took forever to load.
So
I found a 1993 Chevy Suburban for $2,000 that they say runs and drives. Interior. Oh, also crazy ass 90s decals on the side.
Yeah,
the
Hyundai
chrome
decals.
the chrome lower. That's my favorite. I was like, I'm gonna scratch the shit out of that chrome. It'll be so much fun.
Oh my God, I forgot how amazing those OBS Suburbans look.
So
look at the size of that back window.
The size of the back window, they've gone to the tow mirrors, so it's done some work in its light. Clearly, it's got a little paint work up above the windshield. It's got the bug guard and the bull bar.
Those are 800 series tow mirrors, I think.
Yeah. Still second and third row seating. Spares still in the cargo area.
This is an incredibly clean find.
Yeah, for $2,000. So the only downside to this one, it is in bumfuck nowhere, Idaho. And no offense to anyone who lives in Idaho, it's just that you're 18 hours away from me, which is why I'm stipulating that.
Isn't all of Idaho bumfuck?
No, Boise's. There's some parts of Boise that are nice. So, but I was shocked by the quality of this, and she actually I talked to this lady a little bit. Like, I was like, you'll notice. The save tab has been selected on this one. Like,
you're about to make a mistake.
Yeah, somebody else might beat me to it since we're going to post this up, and I'm not going to have $2,000 by the time this goes live. But I'm amazed by this. To be able to find this for less than $2,500, I do have a backup.
Yeah, that's so. I would for $2,500. I was going to say, like a 4-liter 4th gen 4Runner, if you can find one with 250,000 miles, or a Forester, are good places to be.
I'm not going to lie.
Is like,
stay in GMT 400 land. There are a fuck ton of Tahoes and Suburbans in this body style for $1,200, $1,300,
really?
$1,400. Like, I got to $2,000 on this, and I was like, "Fuck! I still have $500 for parts." Like,
what's the joke? Like a Chevy will run longer, worse than anything else will actually run. Run worse longer.
Yeah, it'll keep going. It'll sound like shit, but it'll keep going. Like,
Growing up, our dad had, I think, he had a Yukon and a and maybe two Yukons in that body style.
He had one in that body style.
Just one, just the blue one, right?
Just the blue one.
Okay.
With those lights that you eventually
Which
stole.
with the lights and that bull bar that I put on the Avalanche, literally 15 years later. That's upcycling.
There are so many trucks in that, like, also tons of Grand Cherokees down there for like $1,200. Like, I don't want anything to do with those, but like they were there.
ZJ or WJ, like you can get into
the David Tracy special.
The David Tracy special. Hopefully, for anybody looking for something in that price range, it comes with kittens.
Yeah, or a possum.
No,
both.
I thought his had both, or was it a raccoon?
Yeah, but you don't hope for there to be a possum. Like cute free kittens that come with a Grand Cherokee, awesome. Possum.
It's not my truck, Ross.
You.
I hope for all kinds of dilemmas for people, so I can watch it on Instagram later. Like,
David Tracy did rescue those kittens that were in the ZJ.
Do they have an office cat now? Like, is one living in the Autotopian offices?
I think he took both. He took two of them home.
Really?
I think so. Yeah,
that's amazing.
We'll have to check it. They're cute as hell.
All right, I do have another one in this price point, and it is a backup, and it doesn't qualify exactly for our normal off-road stuff, but this is very much in theme to me with the Gambler 500. It is as in the best off-roaders, the one you care about the least. This is a 2002 Saturn. It was qualified as an SUV, which is how it came up in my searches because I had it limited to SUV and trucks, and I was like, how the shit?
No, that's an Ion. That is not a... Oh, maybe it's... What the fuck is that? No, it's an L200.
It's an L200.
It's pre-Ion. It predates the Ion. Do you remember the Saturn Vue Redline?
The Saturn Vue Redline?
It was like a 250 horsepower all-wheel drive Vue. It was actually kind of cool. It was concurrent with when they had the Ion Redline, which was the Saturn counterpart to the Cobalt SS, but it had the half door, the suicide door, like an RX-8. Well, that was the Ion. That was Ion.
Yeah.
The Saturn Vue
because this Saturn is kind of hot looking, like. For what it was, I mean...
It's the first time anybody has said that sentence.
Well, I mean, it's got the side skirts, like six spokes, 7 spokes.
It almost looks like a GTA vehicle because the the Saturn badge and grill is so small. And like...
you could easily throw someone out of that.
You could run down multiple GTA hookers with that.
Well, and there's different variations of it. Oh my gosh, is that the launch photo?
Oh boy.
It looks like it. Oh, I went to high res and I lost all of the launch photos because it was 2004.
Yeah, this is back when GM was like, we're going to put names on things that don't deserve the names. Like the fucking...
the article title...
SS.
Yeah, the article title on this one was like, what terrible car wasted a good engine? And this is their example.
Yeah, well, it was like I think it was a Honda, like, I don't know if it's a VTEC engine, but I think it was a big Honda V6. Also, two things to note talking about the Vue Redline that we're looking at here. 3 things. First of all, that color is amazing. It's an electric lime green.
You can get it on a Dodge or a Jeep.
Yeah. Now available on your January 6th edition Charger. Second of all, look at that radio antenna on the third glass there.
Declan and I just had a conversation about radio antennas the other day because he was like, Dad, you got to check out this Crown Vic next to us. It was a fucking early 2000s Ford Taurus. It's like, that is not a Crown Vic. He's like, what's that thing on the back? And I was like, the radio antenna? Like, not everything had a shark fin, bud. Like,
right. Yeah, it's pre-shark fin. Good point. But third of all, and I encourage anybody just listening and not looking and not watching this to pull up the picture. But the fucking face on this view, it looks so surprised by its own existence.
Well,
oh
like,
my god, I can't believe they made me.
the like the running lights next
Got
to
the
the low
face.
beams, next to the high beams,
man.
with the side markers on the very end. Like they have 4 lights in a row
Oh
there.
man, I actually really dig it. That's the fucked up thing.
All you have to do is put a bug deflector on it and paint the middle of the green, and it'll have eyebrows.
For sale.
Challenge accepted. Okay, let's move to the $5,000 since we.
Oh, I did find a red line.
No,
I didn't. What's an
No.
XR?
Jeep
Man,
Extreme Recon.
and that was not what it was. All right,
know.
$5,000. I gotta open some windows. So $5,000 was definitely more fun to play with because obviously it was twice the budget. Weirdly, this one didn't come up when I had my minimum or my maximum set at $5,000. Like I was browsing and it wasn't there. I bumped up to, I think, what do we go next? 10. And then this listing came up. And so I was like, whoa, I got to go back and delete my $5,000 one and come right back to this one. It's very reasonable to me to be looking to spend $5,000 on a Nissan Pathfinder.
Which gen?
2005.
Yep.
So 183,000 miles. The
body on frame
rooftop.
Pathfinder.
Yeah, the rooftop is then a little rough on paint. The
That's
whole
an
passenger
acid
side
port
has
on it. My God.
definitely been bondoed.
So that was the last Pathfinder. That the end of that gen, you could get the big Nissan V8 in that Pathfinder.
Right, and this is only the V6 version.
That's the 4-liter. Yeah.
Shopping around $5,000, there are also a fuck ton of GMT 400 trucks for $5,000.
Yeah. You could get a decent 800 for $5,000 still. Decent, like okay, yeah.
So when I started looking at the 800s, I was like trying to find like Z71 specific, and that got a little more limited. But again, Grand Cherokees, there are some XJs out there for the $5,000, but they don't run.
Sure. Okay.
There were some Xterras.
Xterras are good at $5,000. Hold on. To go back to the GMT trucks though, like you could buy a shitty non Z71, and the only difference is it's got the G80 locker in the rear. That was the only Z71 difference other than like suspension, which at this point, if the suspension hasn't been replaced,
you'd be replacing it anyway.
You're replacing it anyways. But yeah, Xterra is a good call. That is a good call. Xterra, the funny thing about Xterra is they're good at like $5,000, and a really good first gen is good at $10,000, and like a second gen is good at $15,000 or $20,000. Like people forget about those.
They're getting harder to find though. Like there were no Xterras in the listings that I was browsing today.
A low mileage, clean manual second gen Xterra is going to be a $30,000 to $35,000 truck all day next year. I promise you that.
So I also think everyone in Rogue are the ones that have them now.
They're buying them all up. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I watched Xterras do everything. So
you also watched Viacross get air, which I will say is a great $5,000 buy because it will never get cheaper than that. Will stay $5,000 forever.
I did not run any Viacrosses.
I found one for just under $7,000. It had 145,000 miles.
Viacross?
Yeah, I can send it to you.
145 is not bad on those things. I mean, it's a GM drivetrain, on a Trooper platform. Like they're good and reliable. Right? It's got weird.
Well, and I know a guy who knows a lot about Viacrosses and will change. Dung Beetle has been swapping out powertrains on his. I think they are building a second one.
He's doing a 5-speed manual transmissions, 5 or 6-speed stick swap into a Viacross.
Right.
Which would be an absolute blast. And once upon a time when I was on the Viacross forums when I had mine, there was a guy who had taken, I think, an LS1 and a T56 and swapped it into a V-Cross. And like, I think you might have been in the one I had. I don't know if you drove it, but can you
I
imagine
sat in it multiple times.
that size vehicle with a Corvette engine and transmission would be
Absolutely not.
fucking awesome. And like full-time four-wheel drive, that would be so good. Like all like fast, loud. The V-Cross turns shockingly well. Corner, like Chris, I know we talk about this all the time because it sits basically on its bump stops.
Yeah.
At standard height, so that it really only has like up travel, so it corners great because it's like just leaning on the sway bars the whole time.
I was trying to find the video of it airborne real fast.
I'm going on my tirade of Via Cross love.
It's not a tirade if it's love. Like tirades are when you're angry and don't like
love.
things. Like
it's love. I hope to own another someday.
We can make that work eventually.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, it was so wild.
The video,
if you guys haven't watched, I know Ross has watched Rogue Overland's videos. To the listener or viewer, if you have not seen Rogue Overland's videos, this image as a still is in the video. And this was just a wild day of snow and weird conditions on 7 Mile Rim. So just, in person, that was fucking terrifying because I was very concerned that they were going backwards.
People laughing at the end of that clip made me anxious because I knew that was not a happy, that was like the scared shitless laugh.
I'm still alive.
Yeah, that was like oh my god, this actually happened and I'm still breathing.
It was very much that.
Yeah, Chris, I just sent you the video from Sven of the razor on the right front. I don't know if you want to pull it.
Put it in the group chat, unless I texted the wrong group chat.
Yeah, I have a dumb Android, so I can't see videos clearly. So
yeah, I sent it to you.
We got to do a WhatsApp group or Slack. $5,000's done.
$5,000's done. All right, so what are we doing next? 10?
10. I have 2 here again. One, just because I found it and it fit the budget, and it was an 80 series Land Cruiser, but I absolutely dislike it. So 1993. So part of that is I can't remember. I think 93, 94 had the same engines. And then things were removed in 95. So 95 to 97 is the engine you want in this body style. They're basically all the same. But
is there like a change between interference and non-interference, or am I making that up?
It was like EGR pair valves crap on it that is all eliminated on the 95 to 97. So this thing is like, first of all, like the tires that are on it, I'm so glad I've saved, because this is my $10,000 budget. I'm glad I saved $2,100 because I'm immediately buying different fucking tires. Like those look awful.
Those wheels are Tacoma TRD off-road wheels from the 3rd gen Taco, and there's an FJ wheel on the spare. So very mismatched. But yeah, those tires, I can't tell what they are. Is there another picture of them? Good color on this cruiser, though, I will say. But
there is no closer tires photos. But they look like if you took Legos and wrapped them. Yeah, they're like freaking rectangular bricks. But
I can't punch in anymore. They look like Super Swampers or some like Maxxis.
Yeah, and even though
it's or something,
I can open it in a new tab, but like I can't see the actual name.
I think, is it a Maxxis?
I don't know what it is, but I don't like it.
I don't know either, but I think it's an abomination. And
so obviously the snorkel, the way it's cut, the way it's like been black painted around the snorkel, I was like, that's why I found this one. If you can get a hold of it, great. Also, I don't like how high these lights are mounted. Like they're literally in your sight lines as the driver. So capability wise, this thing has all kinds of capability. The side exhaust in front of the tire, not super thrilled with either. Like there were a lot of like flags that came up to me of just like, I don't like it. They're super red seats. I was like, oh, those are really red. And then in the next images, I'm like, wait, it's a harness. You're never going to be going fast enough in an 80 series to need a harness. So, yeah, this one literally, it's a pretty red color, had a lot of red flags for me. So, but it was in my budget.
Fucking run a Dobbins' suspension, at least. That's the only redeeming
Yeah, I was
thing
like, the
about this whole
suspension's
truck.
legit. And to be honest, those lights on the front look like they were ARB lights. Because it looks like it's got the little ARB sticker on the bottom of them. So like money has been spent here. It's just not the money I would want to spend. So my backup in this price range is a 100% stock. Yes, I found a 2003 GX 470,
which is a great,
in pretty good shape.
And, yeah, this ties into what I would suggest in the 10 grand range, which is a 4th gen V8 4Runner, which once upon a time you sold to me.
Yep.
But the GX 470 is the same thing, and it's 4.7 V8, and the only thing to really like great engine, long-term engine. The only thing is just make sure the timing belt's been done somewhat regularly. But other than that, like...
And as Dan reminded us, manual transfer case lever in the GX. It's not manual in the 4Runner. So
it's not. It's a little dial-y guy.
Yeah.
But yeah,
so
those things...
obviously this one still has the AHC in it, so that's a lift kit away from being removed.
AHC delete is pretty normal these days. Or you
I hate mud exists.
Yeah. I hate mud exists, yeah.
Yeah.
But 10 grand is...
For 215...
215,000 miles on that truck. The timing belt's been serviced regularly, which is it 90 or is it 110 on those?
No, I always assume it's 90. I always do miss 90 in my head.
Yeah, so if that's been done, then it's just going to fucking go forever.
Yeah, diff lock.
Yay, diff lock. So, 10 grand's the new 5 grand.
Pretty much is how that rides now.
Yeah. Spen, you got any 10 granders?
A little bit over 10, probably like 14.
Which, like, you go to the used car shop and shoot the guy, and he takes 4 grand.
Yeah. I would, if I were looking at that right now, I'd probably screw around and do a Golf All Track with like 100,000 miles. And I do. And I would put the lift on it. So that
Joel will appreciate a golf reference.
Well, Spen owned a Golf All Track.
That was my first car after college.
First car after
that I
the
bought.
Avalanche.
Yep. I always regretted not keeping it and lifting it because it looks awesome.
A lift and like the Sparco Terra wheels that I had on the Subaru.
Yep.
The only thing is...
Wait,
the engine?
Was this part of Dieselgate?
No.
Okay.
It was a 1.8, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a good... It was, at the time, way more mature of a vehicle than you or I were even close to acknowledging.
Yes.
That's a great idea for 14 grand, though. Like, Volkswagen's all-wheel drive is good. I mean, that thing has as much ground clearance stock as, like, a stock JK Wrangler, probably.
Is it the same system as the Golf R? Is it that...
no, it's
it starts
not
with an H.
No,
Halidex, thank you.
It's not.
Okay.
But it was a stick shift lifted all-wheel drive wagon from the factory, which is pretty rad.
Tough to find those.
Yeah, they're hard to find images.
Yeah, there's
everything I can find like 2017s.
Well, yeah, I had a 2017.
Did you? Okay.
And I think the 17. I think I had read that the 17 was either the only year that they could do the lift on, because it was something about the axles. that was the only year that they were saying they could do it on.
Interesting.
But that's decent ground clearance there. I mean, that's Subaru Outback Wilderness ground clearance at least. Like
it had a panoramic sunroof and like a great touch screen and everything, and probably the most rubbery shifter I've driven in the last 10 years. But it was a good car. Slow.
It is a nice interior.
Slow. Yeah, no, it was really nice.
I'm gonna put a link to it in the chat.
That's a DCT car, and Sven, I think yours actually. I don't know. I think your screen was your screen bigger than that screen?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Oh,
It was very
Hell yes. And you know what? I'm just remembering. Who is it? What's Jeff's friend? Is his name Josh? That has the lift. Josh from California.
Ostrander?
Yes, Josh Ostrander. Yeah, he has a lifted all track.
Does he?
Mm-hmm. I think this is an odd.
I just remember him having an Audi and it not going well.
Yeah, he bought an RS4 in Seattle and it died between Seattle and Los Angeles.
Oh no.
Yeah.
On brand.
Okay, so 10 grand. A 14,000.
So that's a little more, and so by the time, I mean, the lift itself, I think is probably it was parts for around $300 to $500. So by the time you do that and you do wheels and tires, 15.
Still,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good choice at that price.
And great in the snow, like
yeah. See that. Chris, you have any other? Excuse me. $10,000 options.
I mean, just normally what you can find, like best example for it. I mean, the caveat of every single time you buy the best car for the amount of money you have. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, there are other things that might have more ambiance. Isn't the right word? Jesus, what am I trying to say?
Prestige.
There might be a better off-roader out there, but like buy the best car you can have for your budget. Like, let's be honest. Like,
I'll throw a first-gen Avalanche out there for 10 grand.
Yeah,
and I think that ends our conversation at this price point.
And I saw a scary Avalanche over the weekend. So,
oh man,
was it the one that we had?
No, it was not. I believe that one's in pretty good shape, isn't it?
That one is probably running pretty mechanically well.
Yeah, this one was beat and all of the windows were down, including the back window, and I wasn't sure if that was powered or he had pulled that out.
It's not powered. It's pop in, pop out.
Yeah, so he had pulled the back. I mean, it was a nice day. It was the first not hot day. It was mid 80s instead of the surface of the sun.
Oh god, it's gonna be the fucking mid 90s again here next week.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Okay.
I've had a delightful week of mid 80s and no humidity though, so that has been nice.
Yeah, no, humidity is just the norm here these days.
So
right, let's do
next categories. 25.
25. Yeah, 25. 25 still goes a pretty long ways. I mean,
25 goes a long way, and I found this for 20. If it will actually share, I clicked share 4 times. So I found a 2001 LX470 in Denver, 192,000 miles, 20 grand. But it does have some modification. So the DIN or the stereo's been changed out. I mean, the photos were taken with a literal potato.
This ad looks and reads like this is the vehicle's 9th owner. Yeah,
it feels that way too. But it's got a roof rack. It's got a front and rear bumper, aftermarket wheels and tires. Front bumper's a winch bumper, but there's no winch, but there are fog lights in there. Rear swing out. Why do we include the third row seat in these ads? Nobody gives a shit about this. You literally can't give 100 series third row seats away. I have 2 in my garage. They're doing nothing other than hitting my ankles every now and then.
Make a fucking couch.
I actually think in this you should just take the second row out and leave the third row
And
in.
leave the third.
Limo
There's
status.
no cargo space behind it, but like there's absolutely no space behind it. All your groceries would then be going in the rear door. Like,
Yeah, it's like, Sven, I don't think you've seen the GX with the third row up, but it's like,
I had no idea you had a third row in it.
yeah, it's like all of 12.
Yeah, exactly.
Like maybe it's 12 inches. Like it's not.
might be giving it some credit there.
Yeah,
Just-
it will not hold Ross's mechanically large stroller behind the third row because it's integrated in your car seat. But whatever.
We are no longer using that. We have
Woohoo!
outgrown the Duna. But yeah, no.
So-
when you're talking about 12 inches, every inch makes a difference.
Yes, it does. I do have another option here because we're in our 25 category, and I found this thing, and I just want to ruin this truck. I found a 2010 Tundra Crew Max.
Don't tell Sven. Sven has been quietly shopping Tundras, so this might
19.7 spin, Denver. It's in
That's
Aurora.
cheap.
Yeah,
Call
132,000 miles on a 5.7 V8.
That's a third of its serviceable life.
Yeah, this is the engine that we have in the Sequoia. And I fucking love it. So.
My best friend, he owned a GX460 at one point for his Turo rental company thing that didn't go so great. And then he had a Tacoma, lifted Tacoma for a few years, and he just replaced it with what I should have suggested in our $10,000 category. I think he paid like $12,500 or $13,000 for a Tundra TRD Rock Warrior edition truck. Bunch of miles, but like it's the
Nice seats.
It's the 5.7. It's going to go forever. And he had it with like a rooftop tent and everything already on it.
Awesome.
But yeah, this truck, 2010.
He does have that leak though.
He has the cam tower seal leak, which is like a $3,500 fix when you have to do it. But he drives it maybe 2,000 miles a year. Maybe 3 if that. So,
yeah, that's why I was like, I'm gonna ruin this one. So
why would you ruin this one? This is a great.
I would take this out into the woods immediately, and I would beat the fucking shit out of it. I would ding every door. I would dig the bed. Like it's so big.
Yeah, it wouldn't fare too well on the trails out here.
You remember for the $2,000 truck, I was like, I'm gonna scratch the shit out of this chrome immediately. Like,
yeah, right. That's 20 grand. I mean, a 5.7 Tundra is a 25 grand. That's a
and I was
solid
like, I've
choice.
saved $5,000 for even if I had to do the cam tower thing. That's $3,500. I still have another grand if I had to put tires on it. Like,
yeah.
I like fake budgets. These are really fun for me.
It's fun to spend imaginary people's imaginary money.
Yeah.
You could also do a supercharged second gen Tacoma for 25 grand.
There are supercharged Tundras that exist. There was a TRD supercharger.
Do you remember in like 2007 when they launched the Tundra with the 5.7? They did that single cab, short bed, 2-wheel drive. It was
like a Lightning before Toyota.
Pretty much. I mean, this was 2007, so Toyota launching a 5.7 in the Tundra, which had like 380 horsepower at the time. That was crazy. Yeah. That was like mind-blowing. And they had the TRD supercharger kit, and I think it was like Motor Trend tested this thing, and it ran like low 4s to 60.
God, that's so fast.
And imagine that with like modern tires and modern tunes.
Yeah, it'd be so much fun.
That's crazy. Anyways, 25 grand, you could get into a pretty decent.
There's a lot.
Early 5th gen 4Runner, like a 2011 to 13 trail.
You can have your pick of the best TJ Wrangler.
You can get an LJ Rubicon.
You could get a Ram Rebel 1500 before it has problems. Like before the air suspension just decides to blow up.
Very specific here.
Yeah, this is.
I got rid of mine. So after I had the All-Track, I bought a 2016 Rebel 1500, and I had it till it had like 110,000 miles, and then I sold it because I felt impending doom.
It was a great truck for that duration of time.
3 years?
Yeah.
Was it three? 3.
You bought it after the depreciation hit. Tanked
3 years.
Yeah.
Yep. And I sold it at.
Yeah.
I would never get $1 more than I sold it for.
No.
Thank you, Vroom.
Right? God, you got
Oh, you got in on the Vroom
He
mess
got
up.
in on it at the right time. Yeah, that
Vroom
was
was
and
saying,
Carvana.
I didn't even have another car at the time. I just like plugged in the info. They gave me an offer. I was like, I can't pass that up.
It was crazy.
I was like, take my money.
You were also
I'll take your money.
you were like
Yeah.
staring down the imminent air suspension replacement, which you can swap it out for coils and struts, but still $1,500, $2,000.
Yep. And that's assuming that nothing else goes wrong.
That's
So,
assuming
near
that
me-
a Stellantis product or an FCA product from 2016 has no other issues at 110 plus thousand miles.
So
Yep.
near me, there are 2 JKUs listed for 24.
You could get a good JKUR for 25.
There's a 13 JKUR for 24.9 with 120,000 miles.
Probably go a little newer than that, even if you really
Yeah.
shop right. What else?
I mean, my favorite part of this shopping is you can just take all the time that you want because
Yeah, right.
here's a 16 with 81,000
There you go.
miles. And it is but it's not an R, it's a JKUS. It's a Sahara.
You can get a Rubicon for $25,000.
And there is definitely an Angry Eyes JKU on here too.
There's an Angry Eyes JKU hiding in everybody's closet, ready to come out at night.
Not mine. I would
Thank you.
never do any of that shit. Gross.
What else? What else do we have at 25 before we move on real quick?
Dude, 4 runners out the wazoo.
Yeah. Spen's got some.
Also, 25 to just over range. I mean, if you can negotiate better than I can. Power wagons, higher mileage power wagons. Probably like 2015 or so.
Yeah.
2014 Range Rovers.
$25,000 to buy, $25,000 to maintain. Power wagon,
Which we're gonna talk about that. We have a guest coming up, but we're gonna talk a lot about Land Rover maintenance.
It's Chiron. Yeah, $25,000 power wagon. That's a great idea. And front disconnecting sway bar, factory winch. Good call. Power wagon is a stealthy option. Enjoy 10 miles per gallon, but it is a good truck.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd love to own a power wagon. Just they don't
There are
fit
also
anywhere.
5 Cayennes listed for under 25.
A late first gen Cayenne with the actual off-road transfer cases.
Like a 2005. Those are the first gens. Like, it was very early.
I don't know enough about Porsches to.
So 2005 Cayenne S all-wheel drive, $7,900, 157,000 miles.
That's almost cheap enough to make a mistake.
If I was rich enough, I would buy that and I would overland the shit out of that.
If you were rich enough, you wouldn't buy a $8,000.
Yeah, I would,
Cayenne.
because that's like this is fun. I could do whatever I want with this. I could buy and go side by side for 4 times that.
Yeah. $25,000.
Yep.
$25,000. You could buy an amazing turbo Razor or an X3.
X3.
Yep.
Yeah.
Can-Am and a trailer. Tell it. Just
I
saying.
might be getting tired.
The question is, what price bracket do you have to be in to get the trailer, the truck, and the side-by-side?
I mean, we joke about that sometimes, It's like...
I mean,
Well,
50 you get it all in there.
I feel like how often is the truck worth less than what it's towing? because that would be the way my setup. It'd be like a $5,000 truck and 20 grand on the side by side.
It's a personal preference kind of thing. Like, what frequency are you using these? You know, like we know people that tow $50,000 worth of machine on a $15,000 trailer behind, you know, what used to be
$100,000.
$100,000 truck. I also know people who have the $5,000 or $10,000 truck and the hugely expensive machine on the trailer, or vice versa. You know,
there is a ski brand or a brand of skis magazine article or ad, and it's like it's some guy, and I have no idea what boxy SUV it is, but it's like when the skis are worth more than the truck. Was literally the ad. That's all it said. And it's the really nice skis mounted on top of the truck, and I cannot get that out of my head. I'll never forget that ad.
Yeah.
So
the cost of the U-Haul trailer, the actual retail price of the U-Haul trailer, plus the Polaris on the trailer that I'm still testing, is 3/4 of the price of my Lexus. For reference,
That's something we haven't really talked about. Is just the same way that trucks and quads have gotten so much more expensive. Trailers are just. I mean, we were talking about the other day, but
trailers are nuts,
dude. I mean,
compared to 5 years ago, it's like everything's doubled. It's crazy.
If not
even
worse.
the like shitty enclosed used ones don't qualify for our first category that we're talking about tonight.
Dude, I used to be able to buy a decent car trailer or 6x12 utility trailer for $750, and now it's $3,000 plus.
At least,
you know, like I'm looking for a fucking 5x8 trailer, and they are hovering around the same price that a new one costs. It's like
just go buy a new one.
Because everyone knows that if they sell theirs, then to buy another one, they're going to have to buy a new one.
Yeah.
So they're like, all right, if I'm going to buy one for $1,500, I'm going to sell mine for $1,200.
It's the housing market, except can't sleep in a. I guess you can sleep in a trailer.
You could.
I do want to sleep in a trailer. That's why I'm literally browsing.
Yeah. There's also a large portion of the country down south that sleeps in trailers.
Yeah, but those are homes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trailer parks everywhere. All right. We are coming up on an hour.
Yeah, before I say something very un-PC.
Yeah. $50,000. I found one truck and stopped. I found a V8 powered Ford Raptor.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Is it a 6.2 or a 5.4 though? Because for 50
it's a 6.2.
Gs, okay, it's 6.2. You want, the newest.
And by the way, this is 30 Gs.
It's got 110, so the 6.2 is pretty good. That's $50,000
for $20,000 under my theoretical budget. I was like, well, I'm stopping here. Like, I can fix everything for an extra $20,000.
Yep.
Yeah.
Except frame.
Actually, you could buy a quad and a trailer to tow it with.
There you go. There you go.
And I don't really care if the frame's messed up because I'll just use the quad anyway.
Yep.
So
tow the truck with the quad.
$50,000, 6.2 Ford Raptor, the newest Power Wagon you can swing, and we're all used here.
Yes.
A good Gladiator Rubicon, a great JL Rubicon. $50,000 buys a used TRD Pro 4Runner. It buys the best TRD Pro Tundra or Sequoia.
Yeah, I mean, low mileage too. I mean, under 45,000 miles. Like
a Ram Rebel that, that you'll keep for a year and a half and then regret.
Dude, I just found an International Scout on here.
What a horrible way to spend $50,000.
No, they only want 7,000, but man, it is rough.
Well, yeah.
The rust everywhere, but
50 Gs.
It is
50 Gs GX460.
Yeah.
Good place to be at $50,000. You get a Nori green blackline. and then chop off all the bumpers because it has the worst approach angle of anything. 50 G's is
the amount of overpriced excursions that exist. Just
like V10 excursion or like the
V10 or the diesel version
diesel
one. Like the diesel ones, like add 10 grand more each time. Like get out of here.
Honestly, $50,000. The right place to be for $50,000 is a 200 series Land Cruiser with 75 or 80,000 miles and a good maintenance record. That's it.
And
That's
probably
the whole
mods.
Story. Probably
You're probably
good
getting
tires.
some mods with that. Yeah. There's probably in a bumper.
Yeah, maybe 120 on the high side. But 50 grand can get a 200, either a Land Cruiser or an LX 570. And that's it. That's the price bracket.
Yep.
Clearly a step up.
I mean, shit. You own a 4Runner. I own a GX, and were you in the 200, the Heritage, when I had it? I don't think you were. I had a Heritage Edition Land Cruiser as a press car 3 years ago.
You didn't let him listen to that wind noise from that Yakima rack?
Oh my god. I ranted about that for
and
weeks.
it's weird key that you couldn't even take it off while you had it.
It was infuriating. But the build quality in Land Cruiser land versus anything sub Land Cruiser there's nothing better built than a Land Cruiser at all.
Yeah,
price.
I really like them,
regardless of price.
Was that the white one that you had?
Yes.
Yes.
We took it up to New Paltz.
I remember it now. Yep.
Almost drove into probably the sketchiest place I've ever.
Peak pandemic, I think you had it was right?
Peak pandemic. Yeah, we went to.
Yeah. You came over with it, and we sat outside like 10 feet apart.
Yes. Yeah, we did. We did. Yes. Sam sat on the tailgate, like the fold down tailgate. But we took it up to New Paltz and got some beer at the at Rest in Peace Arrowwood. And
they're done.
They've been done for a bit. At least that
That's
little store. Yeah, it was. But we took the Land Cruiser up to go hiking at Shaft 2A, and instead of turning left down Shaft 2A, we kept going straight, and you eventually end up in like the sketchiest fucking place ever. It's like the Hills of Eyes up there.
Yeah.
So.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah.
I still have one of their beers, by the way. Saving it.
To go bad?
For us, whenever he wants it.
They closed.
For it to go bad?
I think they closed 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Probably, no, maybe a year.
Let's see that.
Stanky beer.
That's going to taste cool.
Saint Anky. Stanky.
Oh, you man.
Okay. Let's
75?
75.
Dude, it is the wild, wild west at 75 because you can find anything for almost brand new to I found a 1995 Land Rover Defender for 60 grand. And it's gorgeous.
Whoa.
Okay,
I want it.
That picture looks like it was taken on the coast of a small European country.
Yeah, it's Colorado, but yeah.
So a small European country. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's very pretty. I got nothing to say. I don't think that's a $60,000 driving experience.
No, God, no. It's a terrible driving experience. I don't want to drive it. I just want to look at it.
$60,000. It feels like $60,000 just to own it.
So here's where my brain went is I can buy this for 60 because I've got 75 to spend, right? And then I can go back to buy the things for 10 and actually beat those up.
Buy a first gen 4.7 Tundra and a trailer and tow it places. No, my 75 would go to the newest, most recent Power Wagon or 200 series Land Cruiser that I could get my hands on.
This one's really pretty though, Russ.
That's where I'd start and end. Yeah, it's really pretty, but like I don't want to drive that further than the end of my fucking block.
Yeah. And I want to make sure I make it back.
Yeah. 75 grand is a lot of truck. And, Power Wagon's a great place to take that money. And you could get a really great, highly modified, like Slee built 200 series Land Cruiser for that. And,
If you're looking at like really new stuff, like lightly used, there are a bunch of Rivians that I found for like 76-ish,
Yeah.
but they've got like 15,000 miles and just not sure, but they are kind of in that range.
I'm really curious. That didn't cross my mind. I love the way they look. I love the way they look. I love it. I love the idea of it. I don't want to actually own it.
I would just love to drive one just to see, because I forget who it is. You guys had somebody on, and they were talking about their experience driving it, and I was like, I just want to drive one just to see what it's like.
Yeah,
and then maybe buy one if I have 75,000 laying around.
Dude, we just scheduled a Rivian owner for October, so we'll have that conversation again.
Yes. I think if you and I haven't driven a Rivian, I was at the New York Auto Show when they showed it the first time and poked around, and that's the closest I've been to it. And that was 4 or 5 years ago already at this point. But I fear for your bank account if you were to drive one. Because it's a normal size, not massive, overdone pickup with like a cool
it just seems
atmosphere
very well thought out.
And like good range and good interface and it's fast as fuck. And
I sat in the back seat of one. That's all I got.
Yeah.
Non-moving.
The Rivian Amazon trucks are the funniest things I've ever seen.
I love them.
They look like they're from Jimmy Neutron.
Yeah, I love them.
Oh wait, they really do. I didn't. Oh man, they're very cartoonish, but yeah, they do look like they're from Jimmy Neutron. That's a good call.
We're staying on brand because we're over an hour and we still have 2 categories to go.
Oh man, do we want to just like segment this at this point since we're gonna end up doing a fucking 2-hour show here?
No, I'm not doing a 2-hour show. I'm out here in like 5-10 minutes.
Okay. All right, so we're sprinting. We're either sprinting through the last 2 or
because $100,000 is like, it's ridiculous. Like you could just find whatever that exists in the world. Like there's all kinds of stuff there. But I found the nicest version of an H1 Hummer, and they only want $95,000 for it. And it is a wagon.
Is it an Alpha?
Probably not.
Ooh, $50,000 backing up H3T Alpha.
If you can find them. The only Hummers I found today was I found one H3, but that was it. No T's.
The H1 is a driving experience. Only second worst to the original Land Rover Defender.
Well, and this one's god awful because it has the rear spare that cuts down any of the visibility out the back. Like, you're not seeing anything actually out of these windows on the side.
Love portal
axles. If you're driving that, do you care about what's behind you?
No. You can go around.
I love the way it looks. I love portal axles. I love the H1 in concept. You have to be the biggest douchebag in the world to drive one of these things.
This was the only price category where multiple Hummers came up, and they were all H1s. And they all wanted like 80 to 100. And I did have a backup in this category. I found a 110 for 84.
Okay, that's good.
I like them. But again, where is this? St. Louis?
Why did they take that picture last winter?
I don't know.
That's something's fucking weird. Those aren't summer pictures in St. Louis.
Nope. And it seems like it's a local guy selling it. It's left-hand drive too. Like,
yeah, I don't know. Nice seats. $100,000. I'm $100,000. I am buying a Land Cruiser Heritage Edition, sending it to Slee for like a full Slee ARB outfit. And then that's it. That's the last vehicle I ever buy.
Yeah, just drive it forever.
But it's a 200 is going to outlive all three of us combined.
Right. So
when
last
the
one
apocalypse comes.
Speaking of the apocalypse,
comes, the apocalypse will be left with cockroaches and Land Cruisers,
and maybe this. So it's not an Earth Cruiser, but it is a Fuso based camper I found, and they only wanted $200,000.
Don't torment Spen because he's been toying with the idea of a some kind of camper,
like a Stevenson
trailer. Like a
like
travel
some kind
trailer,
of camper trailer. But
yeah,
if you find a way to combine camper trailer and like RV with 4x4, like
it sounds like Spen needs to go find somebody's used 15-foot Scamp and just a cab.
Oh God,
a cab over 4x4 system. Take that, just mount it on the back of it.
I am well overdue for a bad financial decision, so don't tempt me.
Spen, we didn't tell you this at the start of the show, but I'm an enabler. I will lead you in this process and help you.
Very receptive.
And I am the sounding board for these potential good or bad decisions. So
yeah, don't talk about it anymore.
Russell's the one that I usually call after like 8 beers, and I'm like, "So what do you think about this?" And then after
I usually
more, it's like, "Okay, I did it."
I usually call Spen and say, "Oh, I already did this. How bad of a fuck up did I make?"
Oops.
Oh yeah.
Or, hey, I'm gonna go buy another Miata. You wanna go?
Those are always good decisions.
We know Ross will say yes to that because he's had multiple Miatas. Or if it's a 4Runner.
Yeah. You are consistent. You do have a type.
I do.
Miatas and 4Runners.
Miatas and Toyota 4x4s. I have a type. I mean, shit, it's a good place to be, as far as I'm concerned. You know?
I may have looked at flights to that town in Idaho.
For the $2,000 fucking Suburban? Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's like almost clean enough to be bring a trailer status.
I feel like I can smell the interior.
Dude, I definitely can.
Dude, like summer day, early, like late 90s GMT 800 or 400 cloth.
But that's the best.
Oh,
because no matter how hot it gets, you're going to sit down on those seats and it's not going to burn your legs.
Yeah, because it's cloth.
You're right. Right. Man, I can... yeah. That is the smell and the feel of childhood. Those things. And if you slam the door on a GM vehicle today, it sounds the same.
100%. 100%. Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Well,
by the way, there were tons of Sequoias that I looked at in all of these price ranges. Not the higher end ones, but like from 25 down. Actually, they're up to 50.
A good 4.7 Sequoia is a good buy because it's a Tundra with a cover on it, you know.
Well, and the second gens get the 5.7s.
Second gens get the 5.7s, and you go up to a tier 2 Pro as high as $55,000 if you want. Good trucks.
Yep.
Good trucks.
Well,
I have considered that.
Going to Sequoias?
If towing becomes more of a prospect, then yes.
Yeah, they're rated up to 10.
Which is crazy because
like that's a lot.
Big number.
With airbags in the back.
Yeah, but also like they're kind of just a cousin of a 200. And 200
yes and no.
It's a derivative of the same frame with the same engine and transmission.
The way the door closes on a 200 does not sound like my Sequoia.
Fair. Yes. The way a door closes on a 200 there are very few vehicles that sound like that.
And so we've had a string of teenagers running through local neighborhoods, and they basically are running through at like 3 a.m. and any car that's parked outside, they're trying the doors, and like if it's unlocked, they get in and take whatever, right? So I've been fairly regularly checking all the vehicles because all 3 are parked outside still because we still live in remodeling hell. We're almost done. Literally
Still?
almost done. Yeah, dude, we have one trade that has to come through and do the thing in the house. And right now, the people who are supposed to be doing it in that company are like, we're mad at each other. And I'm like,
Touching.
do the things here and then have that fight over there. Like, just finish.
Yeah. ET
Finish.
phone.
Yes.
Phone
Like,
on.
please finish.
Okay.
But the hilariousness to me of the feel of the Suburban store handle to the 2000 LX door handle to this giant glob of a Sequoia thick truck door.
Yeah.
It is it's the lightest and emptiest feeling, bulkiest handle. Like it's almost 2 inches tall. And when you grab it, you pull it, and there's nothing there. Like it's completely hollow.
She chonky.
Yeah, it's fucking weird. I don't like it. But now I got to go check all the vehicles now because I'm not sure if I did that today.
Spen's been around for a few of the pre-production press cars. When you pull the door handle, it doesn't always completely feel connected to something. You're like, oh,
yeah,
boy, not good, Bob.
Yeah, there's a lot of times that I open a door and I'm like,
dude, those Broncos that I was around like 2 years ago, like
do it.
Anyway, all right, I'm gonna wrap up the show.
We'll rant for another time.
Yeah, well, mine were pre-pro, so I didn't blame them. I closed my thing that I normally read everything off. You can rate and review the show wherever you listen to iPods. Ross can close it out.
I really listen to iPods. Do they even still
iTunes,
sell iPods?
Podcasts? I don't know.
You can.
I know they make $14.5 billion off AirPods. I'm like, how the fuck is that a thing? Yes.
Well,
their revenue off AirPods is more than entire companies. Like
that's almost a small country's GDP.
It definitely is.
Probably bigger.
Trinidad and Tobago would murder for that GDP.
Yeah.
Right.
Give them all the AirPods.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, you can rate and review the show anywhere you listen to iPods. Read our writing on the places and Spends on the whatever.
He's on Twitter, but he hasn't posted in a long time.
Correct.
Whatever they call Twitter as of these days.
We call it Twitter. No one calls it X. Just Elon.
Do you want to share your handle, or are you keeping that?
I honestly, I don't even know what it is.
It's
B or S. I was looking at it earlier because I looked it up.
Oh my god.
Suave B17.
I saw
there you go.
A video on
college.
On Reddit. Yeah, right. There's a video on Reddit of this this woman rolling up. It's obviously like a TikTok. She like slides her chair up next to her presumably husband at his computer setup, and she reads his gamer tag out loud.
Yeah.
And his gamer tag is Conquistador.
It's been on Instagram.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. I don't know. I'm sorry.
That leads me down a path of like guys that play as the female characters. I was like, wait, I didn't process that one though. Like there are dudes that like the skin they use is the female version in the game. And I was like, I don't get that one. Not to get us on a completely different topic.
Yeah, that never would have occurred to me. I don't care. If they're Sims, just throw them in the pool and pull the ladder. So
dead.
Died.
Anyway, that's the show. Good job, guys.
Yeah. Thanks, Ben.
It was a pleasure.